it's only failure if you stop trying. So if you stop trying, then you fail. But if the goal is still in motion and you still got all the energy and the willpower to push forward, you haven't failed yet.
When you have that vision of what you want your business to look like, now it's like, okay, are you going to do the work today to make sure that what you have envisioned 5 years from now is going to be able to come to fruition?
Welcome to the Wolf and the Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Curry, alongside my co-host, Dr. John Devereaux.
And this is our New Year's edition episode. So we're actually recording this on New Year's Eve, and it will hopefully be airing. I don't know what the following Monday is. I think it's like January 3rd or whatever. But our quote for this week is going to come from Tony Robbins, one of my favorite motivational speakers. And he said, resolutions require only words. Results take action. So starting with that, do you have any New Year's resolutions? And actually, before we even get there, what are your thoughts on New Year's resolutions?
I think, I always hear this thing, right? And people always say, well, don't wait till the New Year's to, start whatever it is that you need to start. But I'm like the total opposite, right? I guess I'm a little bit more optimistic, right? And it's because I think New Year's resolutions is dope, right? Because if you think about it, it mentally gives you a jump start on whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you wasn't like mentally there, last year or the day before, last week. And now the New Year's resolution kind of gives you that extra boost or momentum to keep going. So, dude, I'm all here for it, man.
So I'll push back a little bit. So if you're not there on December 31st, January 1st, it's just everything's good. Everything's ready to go now.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, it's like, all right, the New Year's here, new year, new me. Now you got like a new benchmark to start from. So I think that's how, you look at the gyms, right? Most people start in the gym January 1st and they go hard for like the next 3 months and then they kind of like fall off. But it's that extra momentum knowing that they got like a fresh start in a sense. It's a mental restart more so than anything.
Statistically speaking, those people who start with those new gym memberships, it typically lasts about 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
So 3 weeks, yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I was a little bit nicer than I should have been.
Yeah, you're real generous. You're real generous. But, okay, so I'm sure our listeners are probably going to be divided. You're all for New Year's resolutions. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around the idea that it's January 1st, so now all of the things that I wasn't doing last year, I'm all of a sudden going to start doing. Yeah. My thing is like, if you come up with a resolution for like the year and it's December 25th, start it that day. Like right. You have to wait till the new year. That's my thing. And go for it.
It's kind of like the placebo effect, right? Like when people get like those fake pills and they think that they got something that don't have anything. It's the same thing, man. It's like this false belief that, the new year kind of captures like a new essence of you. But like it does, like, because you go into like a new mental state in a sense. You kind of tell yourself, okay, this is a new year. I don't want to do the same thing I was doing last year. Because that's how we kind of measure it, is in years. So if you got a new start for a new year, we got a new start for something new.
But why then not just start it right then when you come up with the idea? Like, if you're coming up with your New Year's resolution December 15th,
right?
You're going to spend the rest of December doing the stuff that you don't want to do?
Oh, absolutely. Turn up.
That's the worst. Like, I heard the saying, it says, like, when you set a future date for something, you invalidate the present moment. So it's like, by putting something off, you're also delaying that progress that you could have been making. You could have been implementing like strategies to help you be consistent in the next year when you start it. So I don't know.
For the record, I don't wait till the new year to start something. It just, when we're talking about my progress, I measure it in years or quarters. So when January 1st come around, it's like, all right, cool. Let me do this in this quarter or this season or whatever. But for those people that need that, man, like, yo, I'm here for it, bro.
So what's your New Year's resolution then?
Man, dude, that's a good one. I think mine will just be like, continue doing what I was doing last year times 10, right? Just trying to expand. That's pretty much it, man. Just grinding, expanding, trying to get my hands in a few different things. But pretty much, man, if the stuff that I didn't finish last year, I'm trying to accomplish this year. So it's like it's just tackling on.
Okay. So for me, like I said, I for me, I started my New Year's resolution like a few days ago. I wasn't originally going to come up with one, but then I was like, okay, well, let me come up with something that I'll be consistent in. And it's something I've always wanted to do, which is journaling. It's a random, yeah, it's random, but I want to get in the habit of consistently, writing things down and like my thoughts and, feelings and things like that. And I remember saying to myself that I was going to do that throughout my doctoral journey, just so I can like document everything. And I never did. I said I was going to do that with my son, like some of his things that we had going on, and I never did. So now I want to be intentional about documenting things. So that is my New Year's resolution that I started yesterday.
Okay. I like
December
it.
30th when I came up with it, right there on the spot.
So are you ever going to publish it one day?
Probably not.
And
Probably not.
not
People don't
like
want to know
a novel?
my internal thoughts.
Oh man, is that bad, huh?
Oh, no.
Nah.
No, but I don't know. It's just something to kind of get in the habit of, just constantly reflecting. And I think when you take time out of your day to kind of reflect on that day, it can help you to feel a sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
For me.
Absolutely, but you know what? You made a great point though earlier when I made the analogy of people go to the gym and they typically fail within 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever. Forbes actually said that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail. But why do you think that is?
Um, okay. I heard this really good quote, and of course our listeners know I love my good quotes. But somebody said, and I can't think of the name, and I'm not going to come up with it. But they say like you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So I think a lot of times people just don't have the system in place to kind of support them actively achieving their goals. Like a lot of people, when they set out those New Year's resolutions, all right, I want to lose weight. I want to work out every day. But then you don't set up a system that's going to be conducive for you achieving that, right? I think a lot of times you have to be very specific with those goals. Okay, if I want to work out every day, what time am I going to be working out every day? And you need that type of structure. And by having that structure, especially if it's something that you're not used to doing, you need to force yourself to do it consistently. I think they said it takes like 21 days to create a new habit. So if I'm looking to start working out every day, I need to set a goal for myself. Instead of just working out every day, I want to work out every day at 9 a.m. because I know that's going to be the best time for me based off of my schedule. So now if I don't work out at 9 a.m., okay, well, I need to make that up. Versus if you just say I want to work out every day, okay, well, what time? Like, how do when I get off work? Then when you get off work, I don't really feel like it right now. So if you don't have those systems in place, it makes it a little easier for you to kind of fall off. But that's my personal thoughts, at least, because I'm all about systems and structure, as my wife would say.
I agree, man. I'm all about systems and pretty much executing that. So like for me, like with the working out, I'm on the same thing right now. I got to get up at the same time or around the same time and do these exercise that I planned out the day before. Like if I don't, I'll get into that next day and just be like, I'll do it after lunch. Lunchtime come, I'll do it at dinner time. Or after dinner come, I'll be like, well, I still got tomorrow. I still got Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
And those days never come, man. You keep giving yourself those excuses. And I think that is why people fail most of the time.
And right, the same thing can happen with our businesses. Like, you have a list of things that you want to get done, but you keep pushing those things off, and then it eventually doesn't get done, and that could be detrimental to your business. But I recently, just because I knew with New Year's coming up, I put like a little poll on my Instagram story, and I said, I used the quote that J. Cole said, like, if they don't know your dreams, they can't shoot them down. So I asked the question, I was like, when you're setting goals for yourself, do you keep that goal to yourself or do you put it out in the world? And surprisingly, 75%, of course, is a very small sample size. So, these statistics could be really skewed. But 75% of the people said that they tend to keep those goals to themselves. And I guess that's how I am. I would say that you, on the other hand, are a person that really likes putting it out there, even though you answered and said that you
Yeah.
keep your goals to yourself.
Okay, so here's my truthful answer, right? I'm, I'm like in between, right? So half of me is like, I want to put my goals out there to the world. That way they hold me accountable. Because obviously now you've seen that. Now you're like, dude, you said that you're going to do this. I haven't really seen you been, taking action. So it's really an accountability thing. Then another part of me is like, I'm keeping my goals to myself because some people just don't understand your goals and they don't understand what you're trying to do. And if you start telling your stuff to the wrong people, what starts to happen is they start to steer you away from what that goal is.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. If you tell somebody I want to become a millionaire, if they don't know any direct millionaires in their circle, they're going to tell you that it's not possible. But if you tell your goals to the right people and people that know millionaires, they're going to support that. So for most cases, it's best to keep that to yourself and wait till you accomplish it.
I agree. So now that we established that you lied on my Instagram poll, I guess I should have included like that there is that gray area, which I agree with. But I'm gonna challenge you in this because I know that you're a person who holds yourself accountable. So why do you need other people to also hold you accountable?
Because if I hold myself accountable, I'm human. I'm going to get lazy. I'm going to get distracted. Like that's just what it is. Like I'm not motivated 24/7, but those times that I'm not, those people around me are there to say, hey, yo, keep going. And it's that extra push. That's all it is. Just that extra push of motivation from people that I know and people that I don't know. And all that combined is, you can't beat it.
So now, because you've been posting on Instagram daily since you got your new bike, like
right?
your bike. So now that you post your little workouts in the morning, you put a little screen like, hey, 40 minutes on the bike, I'm killing it, right? So when I see that you don't post that, I'm gonna call you out on it then.
You can. You can be like, yo, you didn't work out. And 9 times out of 10, I probably didn't work out for that morning or the afternoon, but I'm gonna work out that day.
When you talk about sticking with your goals, or because I don't like to say New Year's resolutions. I do like to say New Year's goals. Like I think goals is a better thing, or at least a better terminology for what we're trying to do. So what happens when I'm gonna give you a scenario and you just kind of tell me how you respond to it then. Like if you set this fitness goal of, riding your bike every day, what happens when you do miss that first day? It's January 1st, you're starting off. The second you're still going. The third you're still going. But the fourth, you miss it. So how do you rebound from that?
That's a good one, man. I think all right. It's just like in business, right? You got these goals that you're trying to reach, and you might get that one roadblock. But does that mean that you quit? No. You get back up and you keep going. Same thing with working out. If I miss a day, I miss the day. It's not the end of the world. But do I keep missing the day after day, or do I pick up where I left off and keep still trying to hit that same goal? If my goal is to lose 40 pounds, me missing the day isn't bad. Me missing the week, it's a different story. So it's what do I do after that first day I miss? Do I keep going or do I give up?
So I mean, you mentioned that 80% of people choose to give up on those goals.
Yeah, right.
So how do you fix that then? Like, what advice do you have for somebody?
It's like the old saying goes, right? It's only failure if you stop trying. So if you stop trying, then you fail. But if the goal is still in motion and you still got all the energy and the willpower to push forward, you haven't failed yet. And that's pretty much like how I kind of look at things, right? But the real question is, do you think that somebody could fail at something without being a failure?
Yes, I do. I think failure. I mean, we've been talking about failure. It seems like every single episode. So failure isn't, or failing at something isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're learning those lessons from it. I think a failure is bad because you're constantly giving in. I mean, you stop trying, like you just mentioned, and I think
Yeah.
that's what makes you a failure if you stop attempting to, reach that goal. So, as we're discussing like goals, do you think it's possible to have too many goals that you want to achieve? And this could be like
Mm.
personal or even like with your business.
Uh, I think that's a two-sided thing, right? I think there is a thing of having too many goals, and the reason I say that is because you got to have one goal in place, right? One ultimate goal. Because if you got 500 goals and you're trying to reach all of them at the exact same time, you're gonna fall short of one of them or
Hmm.
all of them, right? Because you're not putting the effort that needs to be put in to reach at least one of those goals.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Like I think that there is a thing of having too many goals. I think it's okay to have, 3 to 4 goals that all align with the bigger goal, and then
Mm.
you're just constantly trying to tackle one goal at a time to reach the ultimate goal. But if you got 5 massive goals and you're trying to hit them all at the same time, I think it'd be very, very hard to do so.
What you said was really good because you mentioned about having them all align. And I think our goals should be connected, in a sense. When you have those goals for your business, sometimes if you have way too many goals, it may cause you to not devote the requisite amount of time to one specific one. When you're setting goals for your business, do you typically set like those really high risk, high reward type goals? Or do you do like the small manageable ones? I would call them like the low hanging fruit goals.
I think I think it's a combination of both, honestly, and I say that because the high risk reward goal is the ultimate goal. That's the one that's going to take the most time, right? But the lower tier goals, the ones like you said, the low hanging fruit, that's the ones I can get done today. I can get done tomorrow in the next month. Those the ones that's going to lead me to that bigger goal. So I think it's a combination of both. Is how many of those little goals can I obtain, right, and get done and accomplished to reach that ultimate goal. So I think for anybody who's starting out a business, you got to do both of them. You got to have one big picture goal that's going to be hard to achieve, that's going to yield you the most reward. But then you also have to have those little goals that's easy to achieve to give you that motivation to keep you pushing forward to reach that bigger goal. So I think you need a combination of both of those.
Right. I agree because I think for any business, you should always be constantly working on your business, trying to make it more efficient. But then you also have to be a visionary with your business in a sense where you have to say, like, what do I want my business to look like 5 years from now? And when you have that vision of what you want your business to look like, now it's like, okay, are you going to do the work today to make sure that what you have envisioned 5 years from now is going to be able to come to fruition? So it also gives you something to work on daily, monthly, yearly. And then with the small things that you can pay attention to in your business, maybe I know this one's big for you, networking. Like,
Yeah.
this month I want to make sure that I'm networking with individuals, get my business out there. Or I've been seeing a lot of people working on their websites, having something that's presentable to clients or, potential customers, and devoting those times to that. So I think we should always be in a constant sense of working our business. And for some people, maybe it's just starting that business. That's the goal, for the month of January. Like, I want to get this business launched. And then throughout the rest of the year, you're working on like the ins and outs, fine tuning things. Because when you start something, it rarely is what you have envisioned for it,
Yeah.
because I mean, it's always going to take some work and then sometimes money, most times money, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree. So when you're looking at like the big lofty goals, right, and we're looking at the smaller goals, what would you say would be some of the keys to like achieving those?
Consistency, to me, is the key, especially for those smaller ones. Because, like you said, those smaller ones, if you're doing those little things, that should hopefully, get you to that big thing that you're looking to do or achieve. So I think consistency is just the biggest thing. And, going back to like the workout example, maybe one day you have a really good workout on Monday. Tuesday is a really subpar workout, but you were in the gym. That's the most important thing. It's just being present in there. And I think the same with like our businesses, you got to be consistent. You have to constantly be working on your business, constantly look for ways to improve that business, because when you become more efficient with your process, typically that leads to a reduction in the cost for you, typically, depending on what type of business you're in. So I think anybody who's looking to start their own business wants to make sure that they have the best version of their product out there. So constantly working to achieve that, because as you continue to grow your business, that best version of your product is going to continue to grow as well, as your potential grows. So when we're talking about like setting these goals, since you're a person, as you mentioned, you like to put it out there for that accountability. So I know we've both grown over the past few years, but anytime I think of like a goal that somebody set, because we both set the same goal and like we both didn't achieve it. So I want to look back and see why and your thoughts on it now. So I don't know if you remember back when we were in Macomb, we were still in school, and we started juicing. We was like, man, we want to juice for 7 days straight.
Yeah.
So on the first day, I remember you posting on Facebook, yeah, man, I got this new blender. I'm about to start juicing. And then like the second day, we both were doing this, like posting pictures of our drinks. Like, man, we got this juice, man. We doing this, boom, 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 boom. But like that third day, it was like, man, Glenn ain't post nothing on Facebook today. Nah. And then like, I think I only lasted 4 days. But I remember hitting you up like, yeah, man, I quit that, man. Yeah. So thinking back to like something like that, and I wonder if we could achieve something like that now. Probably not. So what are some of the reasons that some of the goals that we do set for ourselves that we haven't completed? And if you could think of any other examples, that'd be good too. But that one always sticks out to me.
I will say, and here's the reason why. I don't think that we mentally prepared ourselves for it. Like, I think we understood what the goal was, but we didn't understand what all it took, right? The sacrifices that it took.
Okay.
So for that, once we got hit with any type of adversity and, roadblocks, we gave up. We didn't fight through it. We gave up the moment it got hard. And we didn't prepare ourselves for, those days where it's hard, and we had to hold ourselves accountable. We thought it was going to be an easy road. But I think now, me knowing what I know now about like life and business and goal setting, if I'm hit with any type of, adversity, I'm going to push through it. It's not because it's not what I expected to be. I think you mentioned it earlier. Like the goals that we set or the business that we try to start, that's not necessarily what it's going to be when it's done. And it's the same thing for like setting those goals, like when we're juicing. We had the goal of juicing 7 days, but we had no idea of the type of sacrifice it was going to take, the type of willpower, the type of push through that we needed to get that goal set. And I think we gave up the moment it got hard.
Man, as soon as you said that, it reminds me of this this old military story where this is like in the 1500s, where a captain, they were trying to invade this island or something like that, and they had like a fleet of boats. As soon as they got onto like the sand, the captain instructed them to burn all the boats, burn them all. So you have no way to escape. So now we got a battle in front of us. You got no way to get out of this battle. Are you going to overcome it, or are you going to succumb to it? So when I think a lot of times, because you was talking about like having a strategy, a lot of times we do go into these goals without any type of strategy of how we're going to achieve it. And then it's easy to just go run back to the boat and then go back to how things were. But if you like burn those boats and you have no choice but to face that opposition when you see it, I think that gives you that extra push or that extra drive to make sure that you do see your goals through. As we get ready to go into this new year, what is one of the biggest lessons that you learned from 2020?
Consistency is probably the biggest thing that I learned. Because, there was times, bro, I could have gave up. The biggest lesson that I've learned is staying consistent for what it is that you said that you're going to do. If you said that you're going to do something, do it. If you can't figure it out, find somebody that can help you figure it out. But at the end of the day, just stay consistent no matter what.
Okay,
What
I
about you?
like that. I like that. I'm really big on like your word, your word being your word. So I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think like the biggest lesson from 2020 is just I think you mentioned in like a previous episode, just being adaptable. 2020 has thrown some of the biggest curveballs to our
Yeah.
personal lives, our work lives, and just the way that we operate as
Yep.
humans. So being able to adjust on the fly and being able to adapt to the new norm. I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned from 2020. And I think like if we've made it through this year, the sky's the limit to the things that we can overcome. Just
That's
because
true.
it has just been such a rough year for people. A lot of people losing loved ones to COVID, and just a lot of businesses going under, a lot of workplaces having to adjust to working from home. But I think that shows a resiliency to all of us. We made it through this year, and I'm excited to see what next year holds for all of us, or this year if you're listening to it now, since we're recording on New Year's Eve. So with your personal goals, how do your personal goals interact with your business goals? As an entrepreneur, it's like your personal and work life are all mixed in together. So
Yeah.
how do your personal goals for yourself help you to develop your business further as well?
Uh, this is gonna sound real cliche, right? And it's, but it really goes to like the health is wealth, right? So like my personal goals for me is truly about my health this year, and it's because the better you feel about yourself, like the healthier you are. If you're eating right, you're not sleepy. If you're not sleepy, you're able to accomplish more in a day, and then in return that transcends over to your business, and then you're a lot more sharp. The healthier that you are. So for me, health as well. So those two kind of go the same, man. So the healthier I am, the more I want to work out. And here's the thing, right? I was telling my wife this the other day is that once you get disciplined in one area, you're disciplined in all areas. Because it goes back to the old saying, how you do one thing is how you do all things. So if I'm not disciplined in my health, how can I be fully disciplined in my business? So for me, is tackling my health, right? Once I do that, that same type of discipline is gonna go over to my business as well and be just as disciplined. So
Yeah, I agree with like the health is wealth thing. Warren Buffett was giving a speech to a classroom of high schoolers one time, and he said, "Imagine that I'm going to give you a car, whatever car you want, but it's going to be a car that you have for the rest of your life. Like, you get no other cars." He's like, "What are
mm,
you going to do with that car?" He was like, "Oh, everybody's like, I'm gonna have to take care of it, make sure that the wheels is inflated, or tires inflated, the engine's running well, things, this, that, and the other." And he's like, "Your body, you're given one body in your lifetime, and what you do with that body is going to have ramifications, or is going to help you to excel in those other areas like you mentioned." And I do think if you are the best version of yourself, you can be the best version of yourself that's needed for your business. And I think,
yeah.
like you said, you build those healthy habits outside of your business. It has no choice but to translate to your actual business.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So let me ask you, John. So for 2020, everything that you learned, what are some of the things that you're going to take with you? Like we said, we always talk about things that happened that was bad in 2020. But what are some of the positive things that happened to you in 2020 that you're going to use for the upcoming year?
Um, and of course, a lot of bad things did, happen during 2020 with the pandemic, and a lot of lives that were lost. But 2020 has actually been, aside from like that, like I mean, it actually has been a good year for me, and I say that loosely, but I was able to finish writing my dissertation. I did all of my research this year. I started in like January, like conducting my research and then writing, and I finished in June, and then defended that dissertation in June. So 2020 has been an amazing year, and it showed me that, I am able to accomplish the things that I set out for myself. And, just the culmination of, years of worth of work, to finally be done with that degree. And then even outside of that, it's just starting this podcast. That was one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while. And it taught me that all the information is out there. Like, whatever it is that you want to do, there's a way to do it. If you want to become a millionaire, there's ways that you can become a millionaire. You go through the real estate, you can go through investing in stocks, or you can buy lottery tickets, whatever way that you choose to, put your time and your money into. So 2020 has really taught me that, if I want to achieve something, I can do it, but it requires you to work. Like, I know that you can, I always say, like, you can't cheat the process. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it, but you got to work for it. And with that, I mean, we can go ahead and wrap up this episode and, wrap up our recording for the year of 2020. And it's been a really good run, and I'm excited for, what's to come in the future.
Thank you guys for watching the Wolf and the Doctor podcast. Again, I'm your host, Glenn Curry, alongside my co-host, Dr. John Devereaux. Whatever you listen on, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment below.
And this has been another episode of the Wolf and the Doctor. We'll see you guys next week.